Well, all right, everybody. We are back with another edition of TEW 9, The War of Immortals, The Rise of TNA. So, last week's episode, we had three pre show matches. We had Michael Shane defeat Amazing Red, Taylor Wilde, Sarita, and Rosita defeat the Beautiful People, the debut of Muhammad Hassan defeating Eric Young. We had Double J Jeff Jarrett introduce our new general manager, Jim Cornette. We had the Motor City Machine Guns defeat the British Invasion, Magnus and Doug Williams. We had the Hardy Boys debut. Christopher Daniels defeated Sanjay Dutt. We had Desmond Wolfe giving out a warning to both James Mitchell and Abyss. We had Matt Hardy defeat Bobby Lashley. The Pope D'Angelo De Niro laid out Matt Hardy with a pipe. Christian made his debut in a promo. We had AJ Styles defeat the debuting Booker T. We had Hardcore Country Mickey James debut. And then she had her debut match against Lacey Evans. We had Kurt Angle talk about Jeff Jarrett attacking him the week before with the guitar after the tag team main event. Then we had Kurt Angle defeat Christian Cage by disqualification when Jeff Jarrett once again interfered in Kurt Angle's match. So, I am going to head off and book this week's show, and I will be right back. Well, all right, everybody, we are back, and we have the whole show booked. So let's jump into this, and let's check out what happens on Impact tonight. So we start everything off in a decent pre-show match where MVP and Matt Cardona defeat Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young in 11:33 when Cardona pins Eric Young with a swinging neckbreaker. The crowd is expected and simmering. The wrestling rating is a 54. The crowd rating is a 39. And we finish off with a 59 in the segment. Eric Young had a 57. Frankie Kazarian had a 59. Matt Cardona had a 49. And Montel Vontavious Porter had a 51. So MVP debuted his cocky gimmick and it got an initial rating of awful. And Matt Cardona debuted his Jersey Shore gimmick and it got an initial rating of adequate. The commentary quality lifted the match. So let's head off into our opening segment with Jim Cornette. Now, let me tell you something, folks. I've been in this business for a long time, and I've seen my fair share of egos. I've dealt with prima donnas, tyrants, and so-called kings, but last week, Jeff Jarrett went and reminded me why he's in a league of his own. You see, Jeff, it's one thing to own this company. It's one thing to make decisions from behind a desk, but it's a whole nother thing when you start abusing your power to stack the deck in your favor. Now, you want to swing guitars and call yourself the king of the mountain, fine, but tonight we're going to find out if you've got what it takes to back up the talk, because Jeff Jarrett, you've got yourself a match in the main event of Impact, and it's not just any match. Oh no, you see, I made a phone call this morning to finalize a deal, and TNA got itself another big name signing. And a man who is as innovative as he is dangerous, a man who doesn't care about your guitars or your power plays or your ego. Tonight, you're stepping into the ring with none other than the whole effing show himself, Rob Van Dam. That's right, Jeff. You're going to get a first-hand look at what TNA is all about when you face RVD in front of these fans here tonight. And let me make one thing perfectly clear. There's no getting out of this. No politics, no backstage deals, no excuses. Tonight, you're a wrestler, plain and simple. And you're going to have to prove you can still hang with the best in the world. So, Jeff, I hope you've got your gear ready, because Rob Van Dam isn't coming to play games. He's coming to make an impact, and if I were you, I'd be less worried about that guitar and more worried about surviving the whole effing show. See you in the ring, boss. So the crowd is now hot and rising. The segment got a 60. It advanced the AJ Kurt and Jeff Jarrett storyline. The commentary quality lifted it. The angle got the crowd hotter, and it got the show off to a strong start. So let's head into our first match of the night. In a decent match, Muhammad Hassan defeated Brian Kendrick in 10 minutes and 18 seconds by submission with the camel clutch. The crowd is white hot. The wrestling rating is a 57. The crowd rating is a 45. And the segment got a 66. Muhammad had a 59 in-ring performance. Brian Kendrick had a 56. And Kendrick debuted his spiritualist gimmick. And it got an initial rating of great. The commentary quality lifted the match. And this match got the crowd hotter. So let's head off to our next match, or our next segment. Oof. And it got a 54. Tonight, I'm joined by LAX, Homicide, and Hernandez. Guys, there's a lot of buzz surrounding the TNA tag team titles and a big match set for Genesis, but I understand you've got something to say about your place in this division. Buzz, man, forget the buzz. Let me tell you what's real, JB. What's real is that for years, LAX has been the backbone of the tag team division. What's real is that we've been out here putting in the work, breaking our backs, and proving to everybody why we are the most dominant team in professional wrestling. And now you're telling me there's a tag title match at Genesis and LAX might not even be in it? No. That's not how this works, Holmes. That's disrespect, plain and simple. LAX don't take no disrespect from nobody. LAX has fought too hard to come too far, to be pushed to the side. We've bled for this division. We've taken out every team that stood in our way, and we've done it with pride, with power, and with respect for what those titles mean. So let me make this crystal clear. LAX isn't going anywhere. You want to be the best teams at Genesis? You want a match that shows what this division is all about? Then you better put LAX in that match, because without us, it ain't legit, and everybody knows it. That's right, big man. We've taken down the best. We've been champions before and will be champions again. So to anyone who thinks they're going to push us out, think again. We don't ask for handouts. We take what we want. And what we want is a shot at those tag titles at Genesis. And if management doesn't listen, then maybe we'll have to remind everybody just how dangerous LAX can be. And you don't leave LAX out of the picture unless you're ready for war. TNA, you've been warned. LAX isn't asking for permission. We're taking our spot at Genesis. We'll show the world why nobody messes with the Latin American exchange. Viva la raza! The crowd is very hot after that promo. The segment got a 54. It advanced our tag team warfare storyline. The commentary quality lifted the segment, and the color commentary gave it a boost. So let's head into our next match, which is LAX versus our new tag team. In a decent match that didn't have much heat, LAX defeated the Wolves in 12:57 when Hernandez pinned Davey Richards with a 5-1-5-0. The crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating is a 58. The crowd rating was a 30, and the segment got a 67. Hernandez had a 56. Homicide had a 57. Davey Richards had a 60. Eddie Edwards had a 58. Eddie debuted his No Gimmicks Needed, and it got an initial rating of great. Davey Richards debuted his American Wolf gimmick, and it got an initial rating of poor. It advanced our tag team warfare. Homicide and Hernandez had great chemistry and a tag team specialist bonus. Eddie and Davey had great chemistry when teaming, and they also got a tag team specialist bonus. And the commentary quality lifted the match as well. So let's head off to our next segment. Desmond Wolfe, you've made a grave mistake. You see, it takes a special kind of arrogance, a reckless sort of bravado, to stand in front of a man like me and challenge my monster. But here you are, Desmond, puffing out your chest and pretending that you're ready for a storm that's about to descend upon you. You think you're clever, Wolf. You think you're calculated. But let me remind you of something, my dear boy. You don't calculate chaos. You don't outwit destruction. And when you sure as hell don't survive an encounter with a weapon of mass destruction himself, Abyss. You see, Desmond, you've poked the bear. No, scratch that. You've unleashed the monster. And at Genesis, you're going to find out exactly what it means. Because this isn't just a fight. Oh no, this is a reckoning. This is Abyss dragging you into the depths of your own arrogance and leaving you broken, battered, and begging for mercy that will never come. Desmond Wolf, you wanted me, you got me, and at Genesis, there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. You'll feel the pain, you'll suffer, and when I'm done with you, you'll wish you never said my name. Consider this your last warning, Wolf. You're not stepping into the ring with a man, you're stepping into the abyss itself at Genesis. You'll find out why they call him the monster, and you'll find out why men twice your size tremble in his presence. And most importantly, you'll find out what happens when you cross my path. Prepare yourself, Desmond, because at Genesis, your journey ends where all foolish journeys do, in the abyss. So, with that, we can confirm that there is one match set for Genesis so far, and that will be Abyss taking on Desmond Wolf. So the crowd is very hot. The segment got a 48. Everything's not that bad. So I don't understand why it only got a 48. I'll have to figure that out. So let's head off to our next match, which got a 66 and a decent brawl. Desmond Wolf defeated Tyrus in 8-9-38 by pinfall with the Governor's Crumpet. The crowd at the end is very hot. The wrestling rating was a 55. The crowd rating is a 39, and the segment is a 66. Desmond Wolf had a 64. Tyrus had a 47. Tyrus debuted his bodyguard gimmick, and it got an initial rating of great. It advanced our Wolf versus the Monster storyline. The commentary quality lifted the match. So let's head to our next segment. After his celebration, Abyss appears and hits Wolf with his black hole slam. So the crowd is very hot. The segment got a 68. It advanced the Wolf and Monster storyline, and Abyss and Father James Mitchell have pretty good chemistry, so that's fantastic. So let's head to our next segment here. Ladies and gentlemen, you're standing on the edge of history. This Sunday at Genesis, a new chapter in TNA will be written. The X Division, a division unlike any other in the history of professional wrestling, will crown its first ever champion, and that champion will be me, the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels. You see, the X Division isn't just about weight limits, flippy moves, or being the fastest guy in the ring. No, the X Division is about excellence. And it's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible, about redefining the sport with every single match. And when I look around this company, when I see all the competitors vying for that title, there's no doubt in my mind that I am the man to lead this division into the future. Do you know why they call me the Fallen Angel? It's because I'm not bound by the same rules as everyone else. I don't settle for mediocrity, and I don't accept failure. I ascend beyond the limits of mere mortals, and I do it with style, precision, and a level of dominance that no one in the locker room can match. At Genesis, I will prove that I am the standard bearer for the X Division, and it doesn't matter who steps into the ring with me. It could be AJ Styles, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, or anyone else foolish enough to think they can stop me. Because when the dust settles, when the smoke clears, there will be one man standing tall holding that championship above his head, and that man is me. So mark my words, TNA faithful, Genesis isn't just a pay-per-view, it's the genesis of a new era in professional wrestling, the era of the fallen angel. And when the night is over, my hand is raised and the title is strapped around my waist, the entire world will know one undeniable truth. Christopher Daniels is the first, the greatest, and the only name that matters in the X Division. So the crowd is very hot. We got a 65 for that segment. It advanced the X Division Mayhem storyline. Christopher Daniels enjoyed having the freedom to go off script and performed well. The commentary quality lifted the match. Let's head into our next match. In a decent match, Samoa Joe defeated Bobby Lashley, Robert Roode, and Matt Hardy when Samoa Joe pinned Robert Roode with an island driver. The match also had D'Angelo De Niro run in and attack Matt, and Samoa Joe wins the TNA Global title. The crowd heat is very hot. The wrestling rating is a 64. The crowd rating is a 53. The segment got a 66. Bobby Lashley had a 62. Samoa Joe had a 65. Robert Roode had a 58. And Matt Hardy had a 69. It advanced the Pope versus Matt Hardy storyline, and it gained some heat to it too as well. The creative finish that we used was a success. The commentary quality lifted the match, and Matt Hardy is getting better at his gimmick. So let's head off to our next segment, which, whoops, 2 weeks ago, I did something that's got everybody talking. And let me tell you right now, I'm not here to apologize for a damn thing. I swung that guitar, I knocked Kurt Angle out cold, and I sent a message loud and clear. And that message is this: I don't want Kurt Angle anywhere near the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Jeff, why would you do that? Kurt's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And you're right, Kurt's one of the best. But here's the problem with that. Kurt Angle thinks he can walk into my company and take over. He thinks he can stroll in and win a few matches and take the most coveted prize in professional wrestling, the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, away from me. Kurt, you've had your time in the spotlight. You won your Olympic gold medal. You've held championships all over the world, but this is my house. I built TNA from the ground up, and I'm the one who made this company what it is today. And I'll be damned if I'll let you come in and take the glory I've worked so hard to create. And that brings me to Genesis. You see, Kurt, I had a little conversation with the powers that be, and I've come to an executive decision. That match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, it's no longer one-on-one between you and AJ Styles. Oh no, because as of right now, that match is a triple threat. And guess who the third man is? That's right, it's me, the King of the Mountain, is stepping back into the spotlight where he belongs at Genesis. And it's going to be Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles versus Jeff Jarrett for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And let me tell you something, Kurt. I'm not just making this match to compete. I'm in this match to win. So you better be ready, Kurt, because at Genesis, I'm not just going to beat you. I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to show the world that no matter how good you think you are, you'll never be better than the King of the Mountain. And as for AJ Styles, kid, you're great, but you're stepping into the ring with two of the best, and when the dust settles, I'm walking out of Genesis the first ever TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Mark my words, boys, Genesis history will be made, and once again, the name on everyone's lips will be the same as it's always been: Jeff Jarrett. Now, choke on that. So the crowd's very hot. The segment got a 68. It advanced our AJ, Kurt, and Jeff Jarrett storyline. Jeff Jarrett clearly enjoyed the freedom to go off script and performed well, and the commentary quality lifted the match. The segment. Let's head into our next match. In a decent match, Awesome Kong defeated Natty Neidhart in 13-19 by pinfall. It didn't say with the implant buster, but it's with the implant buster. So the crowd is very hot. The wrestling rating is a 56. The crowd rating is at 45, and the segment got a 65. Natty had an in-ring performance 58. Awesome Kong had a 53. Natty debuted her Family Legacy gimmick and it got an initial rating of adequate. It advanced the Knockouts Reign storyline. And Don West and Mike Tenay have pretty good chemistry when calling matches, and the commentary quality lifted the match as well. So, let's head off to our last segment. Oh, fantastic. That's actually the best we've gotten so far tonight. Last week, I went out there and gave it all against one of the toughest men in the business, Bobby Lashley. We tore the house down, and I walked out of the ring knowing I gave everything I had, win or lose. But what happened after the match? That wasn't about competition. That wasn't about proving who's the best. That was about making a statement. And D'Angelo De Niro, you made one loud and clear. You blindsided me, De Niro. You waited until my back was turned, until I was vulnerable, and then you attacked like a coward. But let me tell you something. You messed with the wrong man. See, I've been in this business for a long time, and I faced every kind of opponent there is, the high flyers, the powerhouses, and yes, even the so-called opportunists like you. And do you know what they all have in common? When they step into the ring with Matt Hardy, they find out real quick, I don't back down. You might call yourself the Pope, but last week, you proved you're nothing more than a snake. And snakes, De Niro, they get their heads cut off. You want to play games? Fine. You want to use me to make your name? Fine. But just remember, when you step into the ring with me, there's no running, no sneak attacks, no excuses. It's just you, me, and the truth of what happens when you try to take me out. So here's the deal, De Niro. You wanted my attention? Well, congratulations. You got it, but now you got to deal with the consequences. And trust me, when I say this, you won't like what's coming your way, because when I'm done with you, the only statement anyone will remember is the one I make when I leave you lying in the middle of that ring. D'Angelo De Niro, get ready, because you've opened the door to a fight you can't win, and next time we meet, there won't be any cheap shots, just Matt Hardy showing the world why you don't mess with me. So the crowd at the end is very hot. The segment got a 78. It advanced the Pope and Matt Hardy storyline, and Matt Hardy benefited from having a hot catchphrase. That's actually really cool. Let's head to the main event of Jeff Jarrett and Rob Van Dam. In a bout that had great heat and good wrestling, Jeff Jarrett defeated Rob Van Dam in 20 minutes and 5 seconds by pinfall with an acoustic equalizer. The crowd at the end is very hot. The wrestling rating is a 66. The crowd rating is a 64. And the segment got a 77. Jeff Jarrett had a 62. Rob Van Dam had a 70. Rob Van Dam debuted his Thrill Seeker gimmick and it got an initial rating of great. It advanced the AJ, Kurt, and Jarrett storyline. RVD was off its game. Jeff Jarrett and Rob Van Dam have great chemistry and it showed in their performances. And the commentary quality lifted the match. So let's head off and let's see what's here. So after the bell rings, Kurt Angle hits Jeff Jarrett with an Olympic slam, getting his payback a little bit from what happened a couple weeks ago and what happened last week after Kurt Angle had faced Christian Cage in the main event. So the crowd is very hot and the segment ended the show with an 80. It also advanced the Angle, Styles, and Jarrett storyline. So let's finish up the show here. We got a 75 and we still don't have any changes in our popularity. So we'll finish that off. The financial report, we made $952,000 off that show. So that is the end of everything. And I will see everyone in the next one.